Picture this. Two people wake up in the same city, on the same morning, with the same 24 hours ahead of them. One of them will end the day exactly where they started, scrolling through social media, complaining about bills, dreaming about a life they'll never have. The other, they'll make a single decision today that will compound into millions of dollars over the next decade. So what's the difference between these two people? Is it their education, their connections, their luck? No, it's something far more powerful and far more accessible than you might think. What if I told you that the difference between making $50,000 a year and making $50 million a year isn't talent, isn't luck, and isn't even about working harder? It's about one thing: how you think. Right now, in this very moment, there are people who started with less than you have, who came from worse circumstances than you, who had fewer advantages than you, and yet they're living the life you dream about. They're financially free, they're building empires, they're making money while they sleep. And the only thing that separated them from where you are right now was a shift in mindset. Here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. You are exactly where your thinking has brought you. Your bank account, your relationships, your lifestyle, your stress level, all of it is a direct reflection of how you've been thinking up until this moment. But here's the exciting part. If your thinking created your current reality, then changing your thinking can create a completely different reality. And that's exactly what's about to happen in the next few minutes. In this video, you're going to discover the exact mental frameworks that separate billionaires from everyone else. You're going to learn how they see money, time, risk, and opportunity in a way that's completely different from how 99% of people see it. And by the end of this video, I promise you, you'll never see money, time, or opportunity the same way again. Your brain is about to be rewired for wealth. So if you're ready for that transformation, if you're ready to stop thinking like everyone else and start thinking like the top 1%, then keep watching, because what you're about to learn has the power to change everything. Before we dive in, I need you to ask yourself one honest question. How many books have you read in the last year that actually changed your life? Not books that made you feel good for a day or two, not books that you forgot about a week later, but books that fundamentally shifted how you see the world, how you make decisions, how you live your life. For most people, the answer is zero. And that's not because great books don't exist. It's because most people either don't read at all or they read without taking action. That's where we come in. Welcome to Book Breeze, where we break down the books that break through limitations. This isn't just another book summary channel. This is your shortcut to the wisdom that took the world's most successful people decades to learn. We take the most powerful, life-changing books ever written, and we distill them down into actionable strategies that you can implement today. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Think about it. The average person reads 1 book per year. The average CEO reads 60 books per year. That's not a coincidence. The more you learn, the more you earn. But here's the problem. You might not have time to read 60 books per year. You're busy, you're working, you've got responsibilities. That's exactly why Book Breeze exists. We do the reading for you. We extract the gold and we deliver it to you in a way that's engaging, actionable, and transformative. Every single week, we're breaking down another book that has the power to level up your life. And if you're not subscribed yet, you're literally leaving money, knowledge, and opportunity on the table. Today, we're diving deep into a book that doesn't just teach you how to make money, it teaches you how to think in a way that makes billions inevitable. We're talking about Think Like a Billionaire, and what you're about to learn will challenge everything you thought you knew about wealth. This book is in theory. It's not fluff. It's not motivation without substance. This is the blueprint, the actual playbook that separates people who dream about wealth from people who build wealth. In this video, you're going to discover the exact mindset that turns ordinary people into billionaires. You'll learn the real estate strategies that have created more millionaires in America than any other investment vehicle. You'll understand why billionaires value their time and attention more than their money, and how that single shift in priority can 10x your income. You'll see the daily habits that separate the ultra-wealthy from everyone else, and you'll walk away with a step-by-step action plan that you can start implementing the moment this video ends. This isn't entertainment. This isn't just content. This is your wake-up call. This is the moment where you decide whether you're going to keep living the life you've been living or whether you're going to step into the life you were meant to live. So let's get started. Chapter 1. Think like a billionaire. Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine you had not millions, but billions of dollars. What would you do? Maybe you're thinking about that dream house in Malibu, the Tesla Roadster, or traveling first class to every corner of the world. But here's what most people miss. Before billionaires focus on any of those things, they master something far more valuable. They master how to think. And that's where the real journey begins. Let me paint you a picture. Two kids grow up in the same neighborhood in Ohio. Same schools, same opportunities, similar families. Fast forward 20 years, one is still paying rent on a small apartment. The other owns multiple properties across 3 states and has a net worth in the 8 figures. What happened? The difference wasn't luck. It wasn't connections. It was mindset. When someone decides to think like a billionaire, they don't see the world through the same lens as everyone else. They see risk not as something to fear, but as something to analyze and leverage. When everyone around them says, "That's impossible," they ask themselves one simple question: how can I make this possible? Here's what nobody tells you about billionaires. We only see the surface. We see the private jets, the luxury homes, the fame. But we don't see the thousands of decisions, the relentless focus, the ability to see opportunities where others see obstacles. That's where the real magic happens. When an average person faces a problem, they complain. They say, "If only I had more money, everything would be easier." But someone with a billionaire mindset looks at that same problem and thinks, "What opportunity is hidden inside this challenge? How can I turn this into profit?" Let me give you a real example. You have $100 in your pocket right now. The average person thinks about what they can buy with it. Maybe dinner, some gas, a new shirt. But a billionaire-minded person thinks, "How can I turn this $100 into $1,000? Can I buy something undervalued and flip it? Can I invest it in a skill that will pay me back 10 times over?" See the difference? It's not about the money, it's about the perspective. And here's the truth that will change your life. This isn't just about dollars and cents, it's about how you value your time. Billionaires understand something that took me years to learn. Time is the only asset you can never get back. While money comes and goes, every minute that passes is gone forever. So they become obsessed with one question: is what I am doing right now moving me closer to my goals, or am I just busy? Think about Steve Jobs for a second. When he started Apple in his parents' garage, he didn't have luxury. He didn't have a safety net. But he had a vision that the world's technology could be completely redefined. When Elon Musk invested everything he had into Tesla and SpaceX, people literally called him crazy. Financial experts said he'd lose it all. But he had a blueprint in his mind, a future that others couldn't see yet. Jeff Bezos started Amazon in a garage, selling books online when everyone said retail would never work on the internet. These people weren't born on another planet. They didn't have superhuman abilities, but they had something that set them apart. They could see possibilities where others saw impossibilities. Now here's the question that should be burning in your mind. Can you start thinking like that today? Every morning when you wake up, Are you running on autopilot? Going through the same routine, having the same conversations, making the same safe choices? Or are you asking yourself, what can I do today that my future self will thank me for? What decision can I make right now that will compound over time? Thinking like a billionaire doesn't mean you need to have billions right now. It means you treat your life with the same intensity, the same strategic thinking, the same uncompromising standards as if you were already running a billion-dollar empire. Every decision matters. Every relationship is strategic. Every habit is intentional. No excuses, no distractions, no settling for average. And here's the part that most people can't handle. Billionaire-minded people never stay comfortable. They're not interested in coasting. They're addicted to growth. New ideas excite them. Challenges energize them. And when someone tells them they can't do something, that's exactly when they become unstoppable. So I want you to ask yourself right now, honestly, are you ready to adopt that mindset? Are you ready to start living every single day as if your time is worth $10,000 an hour? As if every decision you make could be the one that builds an empire? If your answer is yes, then you're already on the path. Because here's the truth. Becoming a billionaire doesn't start with money. It starts with a mindset. So make a promise to yourself right now, this very moment, that you're going to stop thinking small, stop thinking ordinary. You're going to start thinking like a billionaire. Chapter 2. Your Personal Apprenticeship. Let me ask you something. Has there ever been someone in your life who taught you something profound, not through lectures or books, but just by watching them? Maybe it was how they handled pressure, how they made decisions, how they carried themselves. That's the power of apprenticeship, and it's one of the most overlooked secrets of wealth building. Here's what most people don't understand. If you want to become a billionaire, you can't learn everything from books and YouTube videos. Behind every great achiever, there's someone they learned from directly. Someone whose thought process they studied, whose discipline they absorbed, whose methods they replicated and then improved upon. Picture this. A young man named Marcus is working 3 jobs in New York City, barely making ends meet. Every morning at 5 a.m., he delivers newspapers to luxury apartments in Manhattan. But Marcus isn't just working. He's observing. He's paying attention to the people in those buildings, their routines, their lifestyles. One morning, he works up the courage to ask a well-dressed businessman a simple question. "Sir, can I ask you something? How did you become this successful?" The man stops, looks at him, and smiles. Then he says something that changes Marcus's life forever. "Kid, success isn't magic. It's mentorship. You need to do 3 things. Observe everything. Learn relentlessly. Make yourself useful to people who've already done what you want to do. And most importantly, stay close to them. Not as a fan, but as someone who's ready to work harder than anyone else." From that day forward, Marcus wasn't just working for money. He was working for knowledge. Every interaction became a lesson. Every task became training. And here's what he discovered. When you work alongside someone who's already successful, you get paid twice. You get paid in dollars, yes, but more importantly, you get paid in wisdom. You see how they think under pressure, how they negotiate deals, how they handle failure, how they treat people, how they make decisions when there's no obvious right answer. You can't learn that from any book. A billionaire mindset means surrounding yourself with people who are better than you, smarter than you, more successful than you. And if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I learned this the hard way. For years, I hung around people who were comfortable, who had the same goals I had, who thought the same way I did. And you know what? I stayed exactly where I was. It wasn't until I deliberately put myself in rooms where I was the least successful person that everything changed. Here's the problem that stops most people. Ego. They think they already know enough. They're afraid to look like the beginner. They don't want to ask questions because they might seem stupid. But billionaires, they have what's called beginner's mind. No matter how much they've achieved, they still believe that every person they meet can teach them something. Their assistant might teach them about efficiency. Their competitor might teach them about innovation. Even their critics teach them how to improve. Let me tell you about a college dropout named Sarah. She had zero connections, no business degree, nothing. But she found a successful real estate investor and asked him one question: "Can I work for you for free?" People thought she was crazy. Her friends said she was wasting her time. But the investor saw something in her hunger and said, "Show up Monday morning at 6 a.m. Sarah worked alongside him for 18 months without taking a single dollar. She answered phones, organized files, sat in on meetings, studied every deal. And after 18 months, when she finally left, she had skills worth more than a 4-year degree and 6 figures in student debt. Within 3 years, she closed her first 7-figure deal. And that investor still proudly says, "She was my best apprentice." So here's my question for you. Who in your life right now can you learn from? Is there someone in your city, your industry, your network who's already where you want to be? Have you reached out to them? Have you offered to add value to their life? Because here's the secret. Successful people love helping those who are hungry, coachable, and willing to work. And speaking of learning, if you're getting value from this right now, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this video with more people who need to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed to Book Breeze yet, click that subscribe button right now, because we break down life-changing books like this every week. Trust me, your future self will thank you. Now let's keep going, because the next chapter is where we get into the real wealth-building strategies. Chapter 3. Real Estate 101. Location, location, location. Let me ask you a question that might seem obvious, but has a trillion-dollar answer. Why are 2 identical houses on 2 different streets worth completely different amounts of money? Same square footage, same number of bedrooms, same construction quality. But one sells for $300,000 and the other sells for $3 million. What's the difference? One word: location. And understanding this one principle has created more millionaires and billionaires in America than almost any other investment strategy. In real estate, there's a phrase that gets repeated so often it sounds like a cliché, but it's repeated because it's the foundation of everything. Location, location, location. This isn't just something real estate agents say. It's a law of wealth, a principle that has stood the test of time for hundreds of years. Here's a scenario. You've got $200,000 to invest. You find 2 properties. One is a beautiful renovated condo in a declining neighborhood for $150,000. The other is a fixer-upper in an up-and-coming area for $250,000. Which one do most people choose? The cheaper one, right? Because it looks like a better deal. But that's the mistake that keeps people poor. Because smart investors don't look at the price tag. They look at the potential. They look at where the market is going, not where it is right now. Imagine this: a small 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn with a view of the Manhattan skyline. Now imagine that same exact apartment in a rundown industrial area with no subway access, just noise and traffic. Same apartment, wildly different values. Why? Because location isn't just about the physical space. It's about lifestyle. It's about convenience. It's about what people aspire to. A great location is somewhere people want to live, somewhere people are willing to pay premium prices to be. Let me tell you a story about a guy named David. He was 25 years old, working his first real job, and he'd saved up about $30,000 for a down payment. Everyone told him to buy something safe, something affordable, but David did something different. He studied the city's transportation development plans. He looked at where new subway lines were being built. And he found a neighborhood that was currently kind of rough, but a new metro station was breaking ground there in 6 months. He bought a small condo there for $180,000. His friends thought he was insane. "David, there's nothing there. Why would you buy in that area?" But David wasn't buying based on what was there. He was buying based on what was coming. 3 years later, when that metro station opened, property values in that area doubled. His $180,000 condo was worth $360,000. He sold it, took the profit, and bought 2 more properties using the same strategy. Today, at 32 years old, David owns 7 properties, all because he understood one thing. Location isn't about right now. It's about 3 to 5 years from now. Here's what separates average real estate buyers from wealthy investors. Average buyers ask, "Can I afford this?" Wealthy investors ask, "Will this location appreciate? Is this where people will want to live in 5 years?" Every city, every metro area has 2 types of locations. Type 1, where everyone already wants to live. These are established, safe, expensive neighborhoods. You can buy there and you'll probably do okay, but you're paying a premium for safety. Type 2, where smart people will want to live in 3 to 5 years. These are emerging neighborhoods. Maybe they're a little rough now, maybe they're not trendy yet, but if you study the patterns, infrastructure development, job growth, demographic shifts, you can spot them before everyone else does. And this principle doesn't just apply to real estate, it applies to your entire life. Where you choose to live affects your income potential. The office you work in affects your career growth. The people you surround yourself with affect your mindset. Everything is location. So when you're making decisions about where to invest your money, your time, your energy, always ask, am I investing where the crowd already is or where the smart money is going? Here's your action step. If you're thinking about buying property, don't just look at pretty pictures and prices. Study the area. Look at crime statistics. Check school ratings. Research future development plans. Talk to locals. Visit at different times of day. Ask yourself, would I want to live here in 5 years? Would other people? Because the best investment isn't the one that looks good today, it's the one that will be in high demand tomorrow. And remember, billionaires don't chase deals. They position themselves in the path of progress and let the deals come to them. Location is everything. Chapter 4. Real Estate 301. How to pick real estate as an investment. Now that you understand location, let's talk about how to actually evaluate a property like a billionaire investor, not like an emotional home buyer. Because there's a huge difference. One builds wealth, the other just costs you money. Imagine you're standing in front of 2 properties. One has fresh paint, modern fixtures, granite countertops. Everything looks Instagram perfect. The other looks a little dated, maybe needs some work. Which one is the better investment? If you answered the pretty one, you're thinking like a consumer, not an investor. And that's the mistake that keeps people trapped. When an experienced investor evaluates property, they're not looking at aesthetics. They're looking at numbers, cash flow, appreciation potential, rental demand, exit strategies. They're asking questions that most people never even think about. Let me walk you through the exact framework that wealthy investors use. First question, what's the cash-on-cash return? This means if you put $50,000 down and the property generates $6,000 per year in profit after all expenses, that's a 12% return. Compare that to the stock market's average of 10% or a savings account's of 0.5%. Suddenly, that dated property that generates strong rent starts looking a lot more attractive than the pretty one that sits empty. Second question, what's the rental demand? You need to research. Go on Zillow, Apartments.com, Craigslist. See how many similar properties are for rent. How quickly do they get rented? What's the average rent? If there are 20 similar units sitting empty for months, that's a red flag. But if units are getting snatched up within days, you found a hot market. Third question, what's the growth trajectory of this area? This is where you become a detective. Look at population trends. Is the city growing or shrinking? Are major employers moving in or leaving? Is the job market strong? Are new schools, hospitals, shopping centers being built? A billionaire investor once told me, follow the jobs, follow the infrastructure, and you'll find the money. Let me tell you about a woman named Jennifer. She was 28, working as a teacher, making $52,000 a year. Not exactly rolling in cash, but she was smart. She analyzed her city and noticed that a major tech company was building a new campus about 5 miles from downtown. She looked at the rental rates near that campus and realized there was massive demand for housing, but limited supply. So she bought a small duplex in that area for $220,000. It needed work, but the location was golden. She renovated it for $30,000, rented out both units, and her monthly cash flow was $1,400 after the mortgage. That's $16,800 a year. 5 years later, that property is worth $340,000, and she used the equity to buy 2 more. All because she didn't buy with her emotions, she bought with data. Here's what most people get wrong. They fall in love with a property. They imagine themselves living there. They get attached. But billionaire investors stay cold. They treat every property like a business transaction. They run the numbers first. If the numbers work, then they move forward. If the numbers don't work, they walk away no matter how beautiful the property is. So here's your evaluation checklist. Before you buy any investment property, answer these questions. Can this property generate positive cash flow from day one? Is there strong rental demand in this area? What's the 5-year appreciation potential based on job growth and infrastructure? Are there any major red flags like crime, bad schools, or environmental issues? What's my exit strategy if I need to sell quickly? Is the property structurally sound, or will I be drowning in repair costs? And most importantly, have I verified every single legal document? Title, deed, liens, zoning, permits. Because a bad legal situation can turn your dream investment into a nightmare. Here's a real example. A guy named Tom bought a property at an auction for $80,000. It seemed like a steal, but he skipped the legal due diligence. Turns out there was a $60,000 lien on the property from unpaid taxes. Suddenly his deal cost him $140,000 and it was only worth $110,000. He lost $30,000 because he didn't do his homework. So the lesson? Never ever skip due diligence. Hire a good real estate attorney, get a professional inspection, research the property's history, and always have an exit strategy before you buy, because the best investors aren't the ones who make the most deals. They're the ones who avoid the bad deals. Real estate isn't gambling. It's not about luck. It's about information, analysis, and discipline. So the next time you're evaluating a property, take off the emotional lens and put on your investor goggles. Ask yourself, would Warren Buffett buy this? If the answer is no, walk away.
Chapter 5. Real Estate 401. Financing your investment. Here's a secret that will blow your mind. Most of the world's wealthiest real estate investors didn't build their empires with their own money. They built them with other people's money. Banks, private lenders, partners, creative financing. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about right now, because understanding leverage is what separates small-time investors from billionaires. Let's say you have $50,000 saved up. You could buy a $50,000 property in cash. Or you could put $50,000 down and buy 5 properties worth $250,000 each, using financing for the rest. Now you control $1.25 million in assets instead of $50,000. When those properties appreciate by just 10%, you didn't make $5,000, you made $125,000. That's the power of leverage. That's how billionaires think. But here's the critical part. Leverage is a tool. Used correctly, it's rocket fuel. Used incorrectly, it's a ticking time bomb. So let me walk you through how to finance your investments like a pro, not like a gambler. First, let's talk about traditional bank financing. When you go to a bank for a mortgage, they're going to look at three main things: your credit score, your debt-to-income ratio, and the property's value. If you have a credit score above 740, a stable income, and you're not drowning in debt, you're in good shape. Most banks will finance 75 to 80% of an investment property's value. That means if the property's worth $300,000, you'll need about $60,000 to $75,000 for the down payment plus closing costs. Here's a strategy that smart investors use: house hacking. Let's say you buy a 4-unit apartment building for $400,000. You live in one unit and rent out the other 3. The rental income from those 3 units covers most or all of your mortgage, so you're essentially living for free while building equity. That's exactly what a guy named Chris did in Seattle. He bought a triplex, lived in one unit, rented the other 2, and his tenants paid his mortgage. 5 years later, he moved out, rented his unit too, and bought another property using the same strategy. Now he owns 4 properties and his passive income is over $8,000 a month. But what if banks won't lend to you? What if you're self-employed, or your credit isn't perfect, or you don't have a big down payment? This is where creative financing comes in, and this is where billionaires really shine. Strategy 1: seller financing. Sometimes sellers are willing to act as the bank. You make payments directly to them instead of a traditional lender. This is especially common with older sellers who own their properties free and clear and want steady monthly income. You negotiate the terms, interest rate, down payment, everything. I know an investor named Maria who bought a $280,000 property with just $20,000 down using seller financing. The seller wanted 6% interest over 15 years. Maria ran the numbers, realized she could cash flow $700 a month even with those payments, and she jumped on it. 2 years later, she refinanced with a traditional bank at a lower rate and pulled out $80,000 in equity to buy her next property. Strategy 2: partnership. If you don't have enough capital, find someone who does and offer them a share of the profits. Maybe you find the deal, manage the property, and do all the work, and your partner provides the down payment. You split the profits 50-50 or whatever you negotiate. This is how many investors get started. They leverage other people's money and their own sweat equity. Strategy 3: hard money lenders. These are private lenders who make short-term loans based on the property's value, not your credit. They charge higher interest rates, usually 8 to 12%, but they move fast. This is perfect for fix and flip situations. You borrow the money, renovate quickly, sell at a profit, pay back the lender plus interest, and packet the difference. Here's a real example. An investor named Jake found a distressed property for $150,000. It needed $40,000 in repairs, but after renovation, it would be worth $280,000. No bank would lend to him because the property was in such bad shape. So he went to a hard money lender, borrowed $190,000 at 10% interest for 12 months. He renovated in 4 months, sold for $275,000, paid back the lender plus interest, $19,000, and he walked away with $66,000 profit without using his own money for the purchase. But here's the warning. Never over-leverage yourself. I've seen people get so excited about using other people's money that they take on too much debt. And when the market shifts or they have an unexpected vacancy, they can't cover the payments. That's how people lose everything. So here's the rule. Your rental income should cover your mortgage payments, insurance, taxes, and maintenance with at least $200 to $300 per unit left over as a cushion. Never count on appreciation to save you. Cash flow is king. And here's the final financing secret that billionaires know. Your personal financial house must be in order first. That means high credit score, low debt, organized tax returns, proof of income, and cash reserves. Banks lend to people who don't look desperate. So even if you're just starting out, begin building your financial profile now. Pay off credit cards, dispute any errors on your credit report. Save up at least 6 months of expenses as an emergency fund. Because when the right deal comes along, you need to be ready to move fast. Financing isn't something to be scared of, it's a tool. And when you understand how to use it strategically, it becomes your secret weapon for building massive wealth. So the question isn't, how will I find the money? The question is, how will I position myself so that money finds me? Chapter 6. The Billionaires' Rules. Now we get to the part that separates dreamers from doers, the rules that billionaires live by every single day. These aren't suggestions, these aren't nice ideas, these are non-negotiables. And if you want to build real wealth, you need to adopt them like your life depends on it, because it does. Rule number 1. Time is your most valuable asset, not money. Every billionaire I've ever studied or met operates from this principle. They understand that money can be earned back, time cannot. So they protect their time like it's sacred. They say no to most things. They delegate ruthlessly. They eliminate distractions. They ask themselves every morning, is what I'm about to do today moving me toward my goals, or am I just staying busy? Because here's the truth. Busy and productive are not the same thing. You can be busy all day and accomplish nothing. Billionaires are never just busy, they're intentional. Warren Buffett once said he says no to almost everything so he can say yes to the few things that really matter. Bill Gates schedules every minute of his day, including time to think. Elon Musk works in 5-minute blocks and treats every block like it's worth $1,000. That's the level of intensity we're talking about. So here's your action. For the next week, track your time. Write down everything you do and how long it takes. At the end of the week, ask yourself honestly, how much of my time was invested in my future and how much was wasted? If you're spending 3 hours a day on social media, 2 hours watching TV, and 1 hour in pointless meetings, that's 6 hours every single day that could be building your empire. That's 42 hours a week. That's 2,184 hours a year. Imagine what you could build with an extra 2,000 hours of focused work. Rule number 2, never make emotional decisions. This is huge. When markets crash, average people panic and sell everything, but billionaires stay calm. They see the panic as opportunity. When everyone is fearful, they're buying. When everyone is greedy, they're cautious. Ray Dalio built Bridgewater Associates into one of the world's largest hedge funds by following a principle-based approach, not an emotional one. He makes decisions based on data, probabilities, and long-term thinking, not on how he feels in the moment. Here's what this looks like in real life. Let's say you own a rental property and the market takes a dip. Your neighbor panics and sells at a loss. You stay calm, keep collecting rent, and wait. 2 years later, the market rebounds and your property is worth 30% more. Your neighbor lost money, you made money. Same market, different mindset. Or let's say you're in a business deal and someone offers you a quick payout that's less than you deserve. Your emotions say, just take the money, it's easier. But your billionaire mindset says, no, I know my value, I'll wait for the right deal. And you do. And 6 months later, you get an offer that's 3 times better. That's what emotional discipline looks like. Rule number 3, always know more than you need to know. Billionaires are obsessed with learning. They read constantly. They ask questions. They study industries they're not even in yet. Charlie Munger reads for hours every single day and has done so for decades. Mark Cuban says he reads more than 3 hours a day. Why? Because when you know more, you see opportunities others miss. You make better decisions. You spot trends before they become obvious. Here's your challenge. Commit to reading or listening to one book per month on business, investing, psychology, or leadership. That's 12 books a year. In 5 years, that's 60 books. You'll know more than 99% of people in your field. And knowledge compounds just like money. The more you know, the faster you learn, the better your decisions become. Rule number 4, protect your energy like it's your bank account, because it is. Every billionaire understands that energy is limited. They don't waste it on drama, negative people, pointless arguments, or activities that drain them. They build their life around energy management. They work out, they eat clean, they sleep well, they meditate, they spend time in nature. They're ruthless about who gets access to them. Steve Jobs famously wore the same outfit every day. Why? To eliminate decision fatigue. Mark Zuckerberg does the same thing. Obama did it as president. They understand that every small decision uses up mental energy, so they automate the small stuff to save energy for the big decisions. Here's what you need to do. Audit your life. Who are the people that drain your energy? What activities leave you feeling exhausted instead of inspired? What commitments are you keeping out of obligation instead of alignment? Start cutting. Say no more often. Protect your peace, because you can't build an empire when you're running on empty. And rule number 5, think in decades, not days. This is the big one. This is what separates wealth builders from people who chase quick money. Billionaires are playing the long game. They're making decisions today that will pay off in 5, 10, 20 years. They're planting trees they won't sit under for decades. Jeff Bezos didn't make Amazon profitable for years. He reinvested everything back into growth. Wall Street criticized him constantly, but he had a vision and he was willing to sacrifice short-term profits for long-term dominance. Now Amazon is worth $1 trillion. Elon Musk could have retired after selling PayPal. He had $180 million. Most people would have bought an island and disappeared. But he invested everything into Tesla and SpaceX, companies that people said would fail. He almost went broke, but he was thinking in decades. Now he's the richest person in the world. So here's the question. What decision can you make today that your future self will thank you for? Maybe it's buying that investment property, even though it's scary. Maybe it's starting that business, even though it won't be profitable for 2 years. Maybe it's going back to school or learning a new skill. Whatever it is, billionaires do it. They delay gratification. They invest in their future selves. And here's rule number 6, the one that ties everything together. Take massive action. All the knowledge, all the planning, all the mindset work means nothing if you don't execute. Billionaires are biased toward action. They make decisions quickly. They test, learn, and adjust. They don't wait for perfect. They don't overthink. They move. Tony Robbins says the path to success is to take massive, determined action. And he's right. You can read every book, watch every video, go to every seminar, but if you don't take action, you'll stay exactly where you are. So the question is, what's the one action you've been avoiding? What's the scary thing you know you need to do but you keep putting off? Do it today, not tomorrow, today. Because that's what billionaires do. They feel the fear and do it anyway. And listen, if you've made it this far, you're not average. Most people would have clicked away by now. But you're still here, which tells me you're serious about leveling up your life. So here's what I need you to do right now. First, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video like this life-changing content we drop every single week on BookBreeze. Second, drop a comment below and tell me which rule hit you the hardest. Was it the mindset shift, the real estate strategies, the billionaires rules? Let me know because I read every single comment. And third, share this video with one person you know who needs to hear this message. Someone who's stuck, someone who's dreaming big but doesn't know where to start. Send them this video. It could change their life. So here we are, at the end of this journey. But really, it's not the end at all. It's the beginning.
Because everything you've learned in this video, every principle, every strategy, every mindset shift, it all means nothing unless you do something with it. And that's what separates people who watch videos like this and people who actually change their lives. Action. You now know that becoming a billionaire starts with how you think. It starts with seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. It starts with valuing your time more than your money. It starts with surrounding yourself with people who challenge you and push you to grow. You now understand that real estate isn't just about buying property. It's about understanding location, analyzing deals like a business person, using leverage strategically, and playing the long game. And you now have the Billionaires' rules, the non-negotiables that separate the ultra-wealthy from everyone else. But here's what I need you to understand. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. You can know everything and still be broke. The question isn't, do I have the information? The question is, am I willing to do what it takes? Because I promise you, most people won't. Most people will watch this video, feel inspired for about 20 minutes, and then go right back to their old habits, their old thinking, their old life. But you're not most people. If you were, you wouldn't have watched this far. You're different. You're someone who's hungry, someone who's tired of settling, someone who knows deep down that you were meant for more. And that's exactly why you're going to win. Think about where you are right now. Maybe you're working a job that doesn't fulfill you. Maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe you've got big dreams, but you don't know where to start. That's okay. Every billionaire started somewhere. Steve Jobs started in a garage. Oprah Winfrey grew up in poverty. Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, grew up in public housing. J.K. Rowling was on welfare when she wrote the first Harry Potter book. Your starting point doesn't determine your destination, your decisions do. So right now, I want you to make a decision. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Decide that you're going to stop living like everyone else. Decide that you're going to think like a billionaire, act like a billionaire, make decisions like a billionaire, even if you don't have the money yet, even if people doubt you, even if you're scared, especially if you're scared. Because that fear you're feeling, that's not a stop sign. That's a signal that you're about to level up. Here's what I want you to do in the next 24 hours. First, write down your 3 biggest goals. Not small goals, not safe goals. The goals that scare you. The ones that make you think, is that even possible? Write them down. Put them somewhere you'll see them every single day. Second, identify one action, just one, that you can take today that moves you closer to those goals. Maybe it's researching real estate markets in your area. Maybe it's reading the first chapter of a business book. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you admire and asking if you can learn from them. Whatever it is, do it today, because momentum starts with one small step. And third, eliminate one thing from your life that's holding you back. One toxic relationship, one time-wasting habit, one limiting belief. Cut it out like a surgeon removing a tumor. Make room for your new life. Remember this, billionaires aren't special. They're not smarter than you. They're not more talented. They don't have some secret superpower. What they have is clarity, discipline, and relentless action. They know what they want. They protect their time and energy. They make decisions quickly. They learn from failures. They stay focused when everyone else gets distracted, and they never, ever quit. That's it. That's the formula. And you have access to the exact same formula right now. I want to leave you with something powerful. There's a quote that changed my life, and I think it'll change yours too. It goes like this: 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did. So throw off the bow lines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. That was Mark Twain, and he was right.
Your future self is watching you right now. They're hoping you'll make the brave choice, the bold choice, the choice that leads to the life you've always dreamed about. So here's my final question for you. What are you going to do? Are you going to watch this video, nod your head, and go back to the same old routine? Or are you going to use this as the catalyst, the turning point, the moment when everything changed? Because I promise you, if you take what you learned here today and you actually apply it, your life will be unrecognizable a year from now. You'll be investing in real estate. You'll be building multiple income streams. You'll be surrounding yourself with successful people. You'll be thinking bigger, moving faster, and living with purpose. The billionaire life you want is out there waiting for you, but it's not going to come find you. You have to go get it. You have to claim it. You have to decide that you're worthy of it and then prove it through your actions every single day. No excuses, no distractions, no plan B, just relentless, focused execution toward the life you were meant to live. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. That's why we created Book Breeze. We're here breaking down the world's most powerful books, sharing the strategies that actually work, and building a community of people just like you who refuse to settle for average. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're watching every video we put out. Make sure you're taking notes and taking action, because every video is another tool in your arsenal, another strategy to help you win. So go out there and show the world what you're made of. Think like a billionaire. Act like a billionaire. Become a billionaire, not just in money, but in mindset, in impact, in the way you show up for your life every single day. Because at the end of the day, being a billionaire isn't just about the money in your bank account. It's about the freedom to live life on your terms. It's about the ability to provide for your family, to give back to your community, to make a real difference in the world. That's what real wealth looks like, and it's yours for the taking. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for being someone who invests in yourself. Thank you for being part of the Book Breeze family. Now go out there and make it happen. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll break down another game-changing book that will take your life to the next level. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep thinking like a billionaire. This is Book Breeze, where we don't just read books, we transform lives. Now go build your empire. Remember to like this video if it added value to your life. Subscribe to Book Breeze for more content like this every week. And drop a comment telling me what action you're going to take today. Let's build this wealth together. I'll see you in the next one.